and welcome to another edition of Define Me TV. I'm your host, Michelle Pittman, wellness coach here in Whitby, Ontario, Canada. And today I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Kori Kostka, a registered dietitian here in the Durham region. Today, Kori's going to talk to us a little bit about intuitive eating over the holidays. And so, Kori, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me here. And yes, so I am a registered dietitian, and currently I'm working for a family health team, but I do some consulting on the side with my own core nutrition. And yeah, I'm using an approach right now that's called Health at Every Size. It's a way to counsel patients, clients that want to make changes in their lifestyle, but they want to make sustainable changes. And so with this approach, it's a non-weight based approach, which sort of makes people stop and ask about it. You know, what does that even mean? And really what it does is it doesn't focus so much on the scale, it just focuses more on our behaviors and what behaviors work best for us and which ones don't, we learn from them.
Awesome. And so this Health at Every Size concept, can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you use it in your work?
Yeah, so Health at Every Size is trademarked by the Association for the Size, Diversity, and Health. And it's an organization that sort of uses the Health at Every Size principles freely with others who want to follow the principles in terms of their own practice in various settings. And they're just principles that sort of help guide us on how to do this, how to instill this in our lives, into our practice. And so one of them, which I know you're very much an avid fan of, is sort of the intuitive exercise, and that's finding enjoyable movements that's not as prescriptive as the recommendations we give to people for physical activity, 30 to 60 minutes a day. It's more about finding something that fits your body's needs, that is fun, so that way it's sustainable. And it's not about exercising, it's just about moving our bodies and enjoying that process. And my favorite, obviously, is the intuitive eating piece, where we use our hunger and our fullness cues to guide us when we need to refuel and nourish our bodies, as well as being able to pick the quantities and qualities that work best for our bodies based on those internal cues rather than the external cues of, this is the good food and this is the bad food. We should be eating this, we shouldn't be eating that, which for most people has a 95% failure rate when we follow those things. So what I'm sort of coaching people to get back to is sort of that intuitive side of their own bodies and listening to those internal cues to figure out what works best for them.
Absolutely. So maybe, the Health at Every Size principles are something that we can incorporate into our daily living, but how might we be able to take that intuitive eating, or those intuitive eating concepts, and apply them to our enjoyment over this holiday season?
Great question. So because I do a lot of counseling in various different settings, I know this time of year can be really stressful for people, or even any holiday really, because there's lots of food, lots of celebrations, lots of parties, beverages, foods, all those different things that we might not always be exposed to. And so what happens is people haven't developed sort of that habituation around feeling safe around those foods sometimes. And what I'm really, trying to coach people to get to really the bottom of is being able to love that experience again. When we're younger, we don't think about calories, we don't think about counting, and then somewhere along the way we pick those behaviors up. So to be able to enjoy the holidays, it's kind of getting back to that. It's, if you really love your food, to sit down and pick the foods that really look appetizing to you, and what is it that you really, really want, and giving yourself that permission to choose those foods, but also to do a scan of your body and see, how hungry am I? How much fuel do I need to put in my tank right now? And so if I can, pick the foods that I really want to have and sit down and enjoy them, then that means I'm going to taste them, I'm going to look at them, I'm going to smell them, and being able to enjoy that experience so that my fullness cues can talk to me and say, okay, you know what, I've enjoyed this, it's great, I could have more, but I'm feeling good right now, maybe I want to stop. So it allows that whole experience to speak to us.
Sounds like a much more positive way to be with our food.
Absolutely, and I think it helps us to enjoy the experience of holidays in a way that we can be present and not feel the stress and want to, withdraw or isolate ourselves or stay away from the sweets table. It's, what is it that I want to really get out of this experience and enjoy it so that I can have the satisfaction without all the food rules creeping around in my head, and be present and be mindful, so that I'm satisfied and I can come back for more when I need to.
Well, that's just great. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and ideas around intuitive eating. And I hope you are able to take some of these practices and apply them over the holiday season and maybe even beyond. And if you're looking to bring health at every size and joyful movement intuitive exercise more into your daily practice, stay tuned for a local retreat that Kori and I will be hosting in the new year. And and keep tuning in to our Twas the Month of December series over the next couple of weeks.